I read a lot growing up. I tended to read all the children's books I read were about animals. It was like every single animal book, all the whole Black Stallion series, Sounder, every book. But I was actually, last night when I was doing reading, I recalled that the first real book I read was The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, and I read it at a really young age. And actually, Steinbeck is very kind of accessible for young people. It's not difficult, but it's just amazing. And I remember reading this thinking, I can't, I wanted. It was the first idea I had that I would love to be able to be a writer like that. But I was really young when I was reading it because I remember that I got a lot of attention for reading it. I remember it like for an entire summer carrying it around with me, and like going around, reading it, and having them say, "You're reading that," and then I could say, "Yes, it's very interesting. It's about the Depression." So, wait, okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. So yeah, I can't remember what you asked me.
So, you were willing to admit to family members you wanted to be a writer at what age?
40? No. I don't know that I don't know. It was a matter of admitting it. I just, it was a kind of a dream, I guess. So they thought it was not, I was never going to be able to do that. So don't anyway, but it is what I studied. Go ahead.
I have two questions. How long did it take you to write the book, number one? And two, tell me about your I shouldn't say literally, that's bad, but your writing process. Do you use a computer? Do you write it out longhand? Is it every day for an hour?
Okay.
What's kind of the discipline around the writing?
Okay, great question. So this book took me a really long time to write. I have parts of this book in my computer that go back to 2007. The other day I was going through, and I was shocked to actually see that I was still working on this in 2007. But that doesn't mean that I, from 2007 to 2011, was typing away. This book started out to be a completely different book. It was originally going to be about a scandal in a small town involving a psychiatrist and his patient. And that actually still is part of the story. It's a subplot now of the story. But it was an actual real case that involved a Boston psychiatrist and his patient. I thought it was really interesting. So I wanted to take that story and set it in this New England town setting, which I knew I wanted the book. I wanted the book to be. So I actually almost wrote a completely different book, and then I discovered the Hildy character. Hildy was originally supposed to be a very peripheral character. When you're starting a book, you're kind of, coming up with characters, and she was the most, to me, I thought that she was the character that I knew the best once I figured out who she was. And that's when I decided to make her the narrator, because the fact that she is a real estate agent gave her a lot of insight. She kind of knows everything that was going on in the town. She makes it her business to know someone's getting a divorce. She's not really necessarily a gossip or like a know-it-all. It's good for her business to know what's going on. The house is going to come on the market if somebody's going to get a divorce. So I decided to make her the narrator, and then because I knew the character so well, and she turned into being kind of a strong character, because she reminded me of so many very strong New England characters that I know where I live and also where I grew up, she kind of took over and hijacked the book from there. It was literally, I know it sounds, obnoxious, or, to say it, but it really did happen. I've been trying to tell this story about Peter and Rebecca, the psychiatrist and his patient, through Hildy, and she kept telling stories about her childhood and her, how she doesn't really drink that much, and I don't know whatever the problem is. And it just, I found it more interesting to write about her, and finally I realized this is actually Hildy's story. And like I said, the story about the psychiatrist and the patient is still there, but it ultimately ends up being, the story of Hildy. And my writing process is, I write in the morning. I am definitely sharpest at around, I get up about 5 and I'm sharpest around 9, and I do this. So, my kids are grown up now, so it's very easy. I go up to my barn and feed my horses. When my kids were younger, I would drive them to school and then go back and write. But I would go to school and to the barn in my pajamas because I write in bed. And I just really write well kind of in a semi-prone position. With dogs and food all over, opposite, they have to be easy, there'd be too many tables for all the things I need. And I know it sounds, if you have a vision of like beautiful linens, beautiful background, that's not it. It's more exactly like the documentary Grey Gardens. I work with a lot of animals, and most of them are domestic that are with me on the bed. But it's actually not our bedroom, it's this attic room that's really, it's really cold like here in New England. I'm always freezing, it's very warm up there, so I like to write there. In my soiled bed, because with small coffee and stuff, with my dogs and food around me. And so I write usually between maybe 8 and like 12 or 1, and then I have to stop because I do this thing where I'm most confident. It's weird, like I'm like this cycle of confidence and then lack of confidence. So as I said, in the morning I have great ideas and confident, and then it starts to wane, and then by the early afternoon I can't even look at. So in the morning I might write something and be kind of, oh my God, that's great. I thought of that. And then, then in the early afternoon, if I go have lunch and come back, I've actually gone back to the computer, opened it up, and like my face is like burning with shame. And, oh my God, that's what? So I can't even. It goes from like confidence to complete like self-loathing. I only write in the morning, and I don't ever do any editing or anything in the afternoon. It's all in the morning. And I always write on a computer. I have very, very, very bad handwriting, and it's really slow. Unfortunately, when we were kids, they didn't have diagnoses for everything they did for my kids. So I now know. Every time my kids are normal, but how kids get diagnosed with everything. So every time my kids got diagnosed with something, I was like, oh, that's what it is. So I got diagnosed with this dysgraphia, which is like dyslexia, but with its writing, and I have that. Everybody. So I know. You must feel very sorry for me. I actually still reverse letters when I write, and I have the handwriting of a great voice. So thank God it's now, and I can write on the computer, but I don't write anything on paper, except if I'm. Often I think of what I'm writing when I'm driving, and then I keep a notebook next to me. I don't take my eye off the road, but I do write the notes next to me.